The President of the United States says the Strait of Hormuz belongs to America. Iran says it is still blockaded and will stay that way until its conditions are met. Someone here is not describing the same body of water. From Berlin, this is the kind of dispute that makes European energy planners reach for the coffee. Because whichever version is true, roughly 1/5 of the world's oil passes through that narrow channel, along with liquefied natural gas and fertilizer. When two governments cannot agree on whether a waterway is even open, the price of filling a German car goes up. Let us lay out the two realities. Donald Trump has declared repeatedly that the United States has full control of the strait. It belongs to us, he said on Tuesday evening. He announced that after mine-clearing operations, the waterway is now navigable. And he wants Iran to pay compensation for the casualties and damage of the conflict. The party demanding payment is notably the party that helped start the war in February. Iran's newly created Strait Authority responded on the platform X with a flatness that borders on the poetic. The repeated claims and posts by American officials, it said, change nothing about reality. The Strait of Hormuz remains blockaded and will only reopen when Iran's conditions are accepted. And those conditions are not small. Tehran wants an end to all American threats, the lifting of the naval blockade on Iranian ports, a withdrawal of American forces from the region, a definitive end to the war, and full compensation for war damage. In other words, Iran is demanding exactly what Washington is demanding from Iran, only in reverse. Two governments pointing at each other, each insisting the other one pays. Here is where the outside observer notices something Americans tend to skip past. The British Maritime Authority, which has no stake in either side's ego, reports that attacks and threats by Iran's Revolutionary Guards in the Strait are ongoing. There is a continuing risk of drifting or uncharted mines. Commercial shipping is moving only at reduced levels. That is not a waterway America controls. That is a waterway nobody controls, which is a very different and much more dangerous thing. Before this war, which the United States and Israel began at the end of February, shipping through the strait ran largely undisturbed. Then Iran brought traffic nearly to a halt with drones and attacks, and world prices for oil and gas jumped. A conflict launched in part on the promise of stability has delivered the opposite. The pattern is familiar to anyone watching from this continent. A confident declaration of victory, a photograph of control, a demand that the other side pay the bill, and underneath it, ships that will not sail, insurers that will not cover them, and a president telling the world the crisis is over, while the maritime data quietly says it is not. Europe imports the consequences either way. We do not get to choose which version of the strait is real. We only get to pay for the gap between them. That's the view from here. What does it look like where you are? Drop it in the comments and subscribe for the perspective American media won't give you.